Well, good evening. My name is Tina Boyle Whyte, and I am the host of the Bridge Broadcast Show. And as always, I'm excited that you are here with me, joining us on this evening, May 9th, to really engage in conversations around the impact of COVID-19. Well, you have just entered the zone of the bridge, and what the bridge is all about. We're about getting you from where you are to where you want and need to be in life. And today is no different. We're going to focus on every aspect, as I always say, spirit, soul, and body. Somewhere in this conversation, we're going to hit you with something that will inspire you, that will educate you, empower you, and encourage you. Well, that's only because I am grateful for WYTV7 and the broadcast network. Their focus is to educate, empower, and encourage you. And today is not going to be any different than any other show that we've done. Right about now, we're in the midst of, we're about 45 days and states are about to start opening. And this is a really critical time. This transition has really brought us from, in a few short months, our lives have drastically changed. And it's even to the point there where they're saying with the numbers that we have, a 78,000 death toll, 20 to 30 million people that are unemployed. The numbers are vast. It has been said that we're facing a time very similar to the Depression. Well, you know what? It is saddening, and my heart goes out to many of those who are in the midst of this pandemic and working their way to survive. And so tonight, I just want to encourage somebody. I want to help somebody get to the other side. I want to empower somebody. I want to educate on the topics that we have. And tonight we have a great panel. I have a great panel of wonderful people from the sectors of youth sports. We have someone here from nonprofits. We have someone here from businesses. And so we try to cover everything in the spectrum every week. So we are excited. So I won't delay any further. I'm going to jump in now and have my panelists introduce themselves one by one. My first panelist.
Hi, this is Vince Jacobs. I'm the owner of VTO Sports, and our organization manages and supports high school football camps. And that industry has been hit very, very hard. We were scheduled to head out to Florida.
Vince, you're on a roll. I just want everybody to introduce themselves so they know who you are.
My bad. Thank you.
No, it's okay. We'll have you tell your name, what industry or what population you're serving, and where you're from. Thank you, Vince. All right, Scott.
Hello, I'm Scott Passetti from Planet Improv Incorporated. We are a nonprofit and we deal primarily with students of all ages and all grade levels.
Awesome. Welcome to the show. And welcome, Vince. I didn't say welcome. Our next guest is Lynn. Introduce yourself, please. Lynn, we can't hear you. We'd love to hear you.
Hi, great to be here with you. Thank you for having me. My name is Lynn Whyte. I am the program director for the Universal Institute for Successful Aging of the Carolinas. Our organization serves Asian American seniors and their families, and we provide direct services, bridge resources, and we do capacity.
Everybody's so excited. I'm so sorry to catch you up. Just your name, where you're from, and then and then what part of the country are you? Because people will be looking for you. So
we're in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Awesome. You'll have your time.
Thank you.
Right. Jay, can I get your name, what industry you represent, what company, and where are you from?
Yeah, thank you, Tina. This Jay Ostendar. I'm with a company called Rev Local. I am in the Charlotte area. I'm the digital marketing consultant and the team lead for Western North Carolina. Happy to be here. We work with small and medium-sized businesses primarily.
Great. Thank you. Jasmine, introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everyone. Jasmine Walker with Brightway Insurance. I'm an independent insurance broker serving in the state of North Carolina and South Carolina.
Wonderful. Welcome to the show. Nancy.
Hello, I'm Nancy Smith-Maddox. I'm a broadcaster for WYTV7 on Shine Your Light Radio Ministry, and I serve everyone in the country. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, Vince, I know you're excited. You're excited to share with the world. We'll give you an opportunity to tell what is it that you want to share with the world in the midst of this COVID-19.
Sure. Again, Coach Vince Jacobs, owner of VTO Sports, and we're a national high school camp operator. And the COVID-19 has really been impacting the youth sports world. We basically had to shut down and have not been able to host a camp since early March. And so really I feel sorry for a lot of those rising seniors. That's what we cater to. We try to provide recruiting opportunities, exposure opportunity for rising seniors through football camps. A lot of college coaches network with my organization to get film and information on high school football players so that they can, potentially recruit those athletes. And so it's been tough, but we're starting to see a little light at the end of the tunnel. We're starting to see schools open up a little bit. We are hoping to get on the road sometime mid-June or early July, from what we've been told so far, and get these kids a chance to compete. That's the whole gist of our organization. We've been running camps for almost 15 years. We started here in Charlotte, but we signed on with a company called Rivals.com, and we're national now. We do camps from California to New York, and one of the top camp operators in the country right now. So we're just looking forward to getting back out there. We do a lot of information sharing at our camps. We have what we call a parent talk, where we talk about life skills, talk about how important social media is to the youth out there, how they can make sure that they keep their brand positive and put what they put on social media, how important it is to be clear about it. And then during this quiet time, we've done a few virtual sessions. We started a podcast for parents to call in and talk about what kids can be doing during this downtime. We talked about they could be doing SAT preps to get themselves ready for the testing. We talked about not sitting around and just playing video games, get out and do some exercising. And we put together a workout plan for a lot of the kids who didn't get them from their high schools, to give them like a set plan of things to do while they're sitting at home. And so that's really, been our goal, to try to make sure they stay engaged, to make sure they don't treat this as a vacation, but really start preparing. Because once the camps open back up and people start going to camps, if you're not ready, you're not gonna have a chance to help yourself and get recruited by a college coach.
Wow, that's a lot, Vince, and I'm really excited that you are really actively involved. And you said something really key. This is not a vacation. This is a preparation time, and so that's what I'm going to glean. This is a preparation time. Thank you so much for being here with us this evening. And I want you to just be thinking about how, when we come back around, what more can families do when we come back around? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Scott. What is it that you want to tell the world in this season of COVID-19?
Certainly. Well, Planet Improv is a 13-year-old nonprofit organization, and we empower people of all ages to grow socially and emotionally through applied improvisation. And we do that primarily within the school systems. So as all of you know, in the middle approximately of March of this year, whether any of us liked it or not, and I've been doing it for at least 20 years, well, mostly a lifetime, but the rest of you also jumped in my boat and we all became improvisers, because the world changed overnight for all of us. Whatever road we thought we were on at that time, that road got a big stop sign in front of it, and we all had to move on to plan B, C, D, E, F, etc., etc., etc. Now, as adults, we know that it's very challenging for us to do so. Again, we were on a certain path. Life told us to go in a different way. It encouraged us. But what a lot of us don't think about is, we know how it's affected us, but how has it affected our children? Think of all the things that have been taken away from them, the schools that they go to, the structure in their day, their friends, their learning, their, so many different things. And I won't tar the rest of you with this brush, I will just make a very general statement, that sometimes we think, oh, the cute little thoughts of our children, isn't that sweet? We have real problems, but they'll get through it. They'll be just fine. And one of my idols as far as teaching children is the late Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers. And what was so wonderful about what Mr. Rogers used to do, and thank goodness he still lives on in video and other formats, is he took the thoughts of children very seriously. He also realized that children can handle heavy subjects as long as we're honest with them and we do listen to their voice. We don't just wag our finger at them and tell them, I, the all-knowing, all-seeing adult, I can tell you and you will learn and you will listen, as opposed to, how are you feeling about what is going on right now? So that's basically, and we've had to pivot, as most of you have, I'm sure, to instead of face-to-face learning, now we're doing wonderful things like we're doing today, via Zoom chat or Facebook Live, et cetera, et cetera. And I've been very fortunate that what I do face-to-face, whether it's dealing with children in school, or we do, as you can imagine, improvisational entertainment type shows and things like that, we have been able to pivot to the online technical virtual world. So I am able to patch right in to schools and school districts and things like Google Meetup and things like that, where schools are allowing themselves to meet with their students. Now, the only downside of that, and I think this is a stress point that we've all learned, we thought that we would flip a switch as soon as everybody started to go online and all children would just pick up right where they left off in schools. But unfortunately, especially our underserved communities, they don't have the high-speed internet or internet at all. They don't have laptop computers or even desktop computers. So what we thought would be, again, snap our fingers, we're going to go right from being into a classroom to an online classroom, I think has been a little bit more challenging than any of us could have imagined. But again, I think a lot of communities, I know I'm doing my best to help. I know the schools are doing their best to help. This is by no means a way to wag my finger at any of the schools. And obviously the teachers. The teachers have become, amongst all the other heroes that we have these days, the medical people, the firefighters, the first responders, the people stocking our grocery stores, et cetera, et cetera. I think every day, especially, and I'm not a parent, but I'm sure some of you are homeschooling your children these days, and we have all learned how important a brick and mortar school teacher is. So again, we're just trying to do our best to listen to our children. And just like the good coach said, again, let's make sure that when we do get back to our schools, whether that's in August or September of next year, we're able to hit the ground running. It's not like we had 6 months off school or 4 months off school. We don't want our brains to turn to mush. We don't want to just talk about all the wonderful Netflix movies that we watched over the last 4 months. So that's hopefully how I can help our community a little bit. And that's where we'll start. Thank you so much. I appreciate you listening.
Wow, thank you, Scott. That's so encouraging. As I look at, our youth, we can't forget them in this process. And so, with the youth sports, some virtual trainings, and then the youth underserved, the whole population of, improvisation. Listening was the key thing that I got from you. So thank you so much for that, Scott.
You're welcome.
You helped me transition right into underserved communities and really understanding how we can help underserved communities in these times, Lynn. Please tell us how you have managed to support underserved communities.
Hi, everyone. Thank you again for allowing us to be here to highlight this issue. As you know, the seniors are the most susceptible, during this COVID-19. But as we try to transition and think about how we're going to go back to the new normal, how we're going to further protect our seniors. And we thought as UISC, with the collaboration of multi-partners and even businesses who are, and people who are out of work, we were thinking about how can we make a difference? And so we said that in addition to protecting our seniors, we really needed to protect other segments of the community. The homeless, they don't have access to masks. There's obviously frontline workers, healthcare workers, nurses, and then we have public essential workers such as, our people who pick up the trash, weekly, daily. We have, police officers, we have people who are serving, in the grocery stores. So we partnered with a tailor, Anna's Alterations, 30 workers who are right now unemployed. So obviously they have a skill. They're able to make masks. So what we did was we partnered with a lot of some of the public, some of the businesses, whoever could donate, and we were able to buy materials. And with that, we were able to really start a production line of masks. So these are CDC approved, which that they recommend. CDC recommends that in addition to social distancing and try to stay home, but when you're out doing essential business, that you wear face protection. So the special thing about our face mask is that it's double lined, 100% cotton with a filter pocket so that you can have an added protection. So it is a recommendation and approved for use at the hospitals as well. So I think that when we talk about protecting seniors, which is our aim, there wasn't any way for us to do that without protecting everyone else. So our motto now is let's protect each other and make sure that, in every segments of the community that these people have, access to masks. So thank you.
I love that. I love that. Let's protect each other. And this has really brought this season and this time has really brought us to a place where we're hopefully people who as we experience this, we start seeing the value of each other. And I like how you said, let's protect each other. So thank you for doing that. I know I want to order one. So please tell us later how I can order one if I can. So thank you. Thank you, Lynn, for being with us. Jay, you represent the business sector. Today, we'll let you share with us. What can you share with us, those who are in business, small businesses, many of the businesses, they may not be able to recover, but maybe something you can say today, Jay, that may maybe be able to heal that or transition them to get through that piece.
Yeah, thanks, Tina. That's the key here. I work with a company called Rev Local. We're a digital marketing company. We have a national footprint. We're based out of Columbus, Ohio, but we work with primarily small and medium-sized businesses all over the country, and really helping them with certain parts of their digital online footprint, digital presence, those types of things, helping businesses get found online, and that's hard enough in normal times. And then what happened? We've seen examples of it here already with Scott's company and Vince's company. It's all about rapid change right now. And being with a technology company, we kind of existed in the rapid change environment to begin with, just as quickly as technology changes in general. But that was put, on steroids back in March when we basically had to help all of our clients, all of our customers, small, medium-sized businesses, Main Street, local Main Street America. We had to help them pivot from business as usual to another reality. Okay, so what this has really done, in good ways and bad ways, is it's really creating a new normal when we transition out of this COVID pandemic. What's going to be left is a whole different environment, a whole different landscape when it comes to small businesses. One of the things that we've been able to see with our clients is that the quicker and the more adept you are in changing those strategies and utilizing the tools that you have that you may not know you have, the better off you're not only surviving this, but the better you can position yourself for as things open back up. And that's going to be different for every business. There's some businesses that have been able to actually grow in this time. There's some businesses that it happens to be spring, so they're naturally busy anyway, and they've had to pivot the way that they message and deal with customers. And then others they're still closed and still going to be closed for quite some time. So it's really important that we take every business on a business by business basis to really help them see, what are their strengths? How can they pivot their own strategies? How can they stay relevant right now? When you think of restaurants that have moved to delivery and curbside pickup and things like that, that's a pivot that some people it was really easy for them, and some people it wasn't. But either way, that message has got to get out. So the competitive landscape has changed as well. So one of the things that I'm really here today to do is to be a resource for any small business owners that are out there, and helping them, really figure out how to stay relevant right now and how to leverage the strengths that you have in order to position yourself for that time when things will get back to normal. I mean, one thing that we do know is whether it's in a month or whether it's in 6 months or whether it's in a year, we will all come out of this. So how do we position ourselves for that journey from here to there?
I love that so much, Jay. You've really bridged for us, being on this side, and how do we be relevant to get to the other side? No matter what, we're gonna get to the other side, and Lynn tells us we got to do it together, and we have to take care of each other. So thank you so much for that, and that's good food for thought. Pivot. Thanks. Relevance. Now I want to talk a little bit about families and business. I want to go to Jasmine. She's going to talk to us, please talk to us about how we can minimize our worries and cares. And I think that's maybe why they came up with the CARES Act. But please advise me, what are some things that are in place to help us navigate those things that we worry about, like some bills that we pay? I know we had somebody from the mortgage industry last week, but I think you're going to give us some good thoughts around our insurance policies.
Well, I would say the negative of what has happened with the COVID-19 is a lot of my centers of influence, business networkers that I do business with, which will be my realtors, my mortgage brokers, car dealerships, and car salesmen who send me a lot of business in my community, who I always network with. When they lose business, I lose business because they come to me to refer a lot of their clients to me for insurance. So it had a domino effect. So I lost a lot of business because of the virus. So that was the negative. Now the positive out of this virus was that people are getting more budget conscious. They want to save money. They want to just look at their overall family budget, which is good. And a lot of the insurance companies are aware of that. So they are offering a lot of discounts and just ways to try to keep their clients. And it's just healthy competition. In my brokerage, I represent at least, I would say 20 different insurance carriers. So I would advise everyone to start shopping. It behooves you to start shopping to save money on your insurance policies, because insurance companies know that, they're pitting sort of, it's just healthy competition right now for the business. People are driving less, and it's just healthy competition. To save money, I would advise everyone to start shopping. You have the time to do it. And another thing that has started as far as giving me business right now is life insurance. People are really concerned with the death toll rising. A lot of people are getting life insurance. So that's another big thing that's going up in my insurance brokerage. People are conscious about their life insurance of all ages, young to old. That's very big in my agency. So there's no time, like the present, to start shopping for the life insurance, because you never know when it's going to happen. I know no one likes to face it, but definitely you want to start with that and face it. So you can always contact me or any other agent, but it's definitely something that you want to address. No one likes, let's face it, the realism of insurance, but it's something that you definitely want to review all of your insurance needs and make sure that is handled. But I definitely want to encourage everyone to be strong and make sure that all of your insurance needs are met, from your auto, your home, your business and your life insurance so that you're protected and that your family is just definitely secure. That's my advice to everyone.
Awesome, Jasmine. You know, really, you make me think about financial planning from birth to death. And, you know, this time is really making us all conscious. So thank you for your contribution to, you know, making us better as a people. Last but not least, I have Nancy with us, a fellow broadcaster, and she has a show, Shine Your Light. Nancy, you know, what would you like to share with us around impacts of the COVID-19, and how have you made a contribution through your show?
Well, thank you. Thank you, Miss Tina. I am going to talk a little about something a little bit different this week. There have been pandemics in the past in our history that have affected us much more so than COVID-19. And I just want to share a little bit about how and encourage everyone that we can survive this. We are Americans. We're the greatest nation on earth. We will do what we have to do to survive. We will follow all the rules. We'll do everything we have to do, even as we start to reopen the country. There were two pandemics over the past, many years. One of them was in 1950. I was born in 53, so I lived through this pandemic. But what's interesting, it was the polio pandemic. And it's so similar to COVID-19. It's unbelievable. I mean, I was shocked when this popped up and I started reading about this because my husband had polio when he was 6 years old. He's 2 years older than me, so he was born in 51. He had polio when he was 6 years old. And the panic in the nation over polio was absolutely crazy, just like it is now with COVID-19. They thought that polio was caught by getting in water. So you couldn't go swimming during the summer. You couldn't do anything that was a function that involved the lake or the swimming pools or anything, because all of that was infected with polio, and that's how you got it. The best thing about the polio virus and the polio pandemic is that they discovered in 1956, they found a remedy where you could take a shot and you do not get the virus. But my husband, when he was 6 years old, missed it in his first grade of school. He missed 6 months of first grade because he got polio in his neck, and he was in the hospital for 6 months. The only reverberating effect to him after all of that was he had a weakness in his neck, plus it affected his teeth real dramatically because his permanent teeth had come in, and his teeth, the medicine was so strong it affected his teeth. But he was in it's what called an iron lung, because polio affected your lungs a lot and you couldn't breathe. So they would put you in these big machines, iron lungs, and force you to breathe. And then, of course, a lot of people, millions of people that got polio were actually damaged, and it affected the joints, and it made you real weak, your joints weak. So they had to have braces to walk or braces to move their arms and things like that. But I thought that was very interesting when I found that particular pandemic that is almost identical to what we're doing now. The main difference is this COVID-19 is more transmittable. You know, it was like a horror show in the 50s with polio because they didn't really know anything until the man discovered the vaccination. But I don't know, y'all probably don't remember, when I was a little girl, we got our polio vaccinations in a cube of sugar. So we would go to the clinic, they would put the vaccination in a little cube of sugar and put it in our mouth, and that's how we got vaccinated. And then later on, they would give you shots. And many of us, my age, have pock marks on our arm where we got the polio vaccination. I mean, I have a hole right here in my arm from it. So I thought that was interesting. And so as I was talking about what I wanted to do to encourage everyone that we will get through this, I don't believe God's ready to write Ichabod on the world or on our country. So I think that we are going to get through this if we follow all the rules and we do it very, very carefully. Is it a lifestyle change? Yes, it is. But as I was reading, I found another pandemic that came. It's the H3N2 flu in the 1960s, 1961, 62. And this was during the time when I was getting into my teen years. And there was a very famous event that happened that had over 1 million people at this event. It's Woodstock. It's the rock concert. They had the biggest rock concert they had. This is their 50th year anniversary this year. It's the biggest rock, the biggest movement for rock stars and things like that. They had thousands of them there, but they had over 1 million people at Woodstock. And during that time, the H3N2 flu virus was happening, where over 100,000 people died of the flu. And there was no media attention. It was just, you had the Woodstock, which was the main event of that year, and you had the flu epidemic. And what would happen is there was no media attention to it. There were so many other things going on in our nation that particular time frame, with the civil rights movements and the Vietnam War and all of that we just didn't pay attention to the flu like we pay attention to COVID-19.
Wow.
So my main thing that concerns me the most is that it's turned political. And I don't really like that. They say in the polio pandemic,
Nancy,
as well as
Nancy, I don't want to stop you, but we have to be brief. And
okay.
we'll
Well,
come back.
my last point is that H3 and N2 and the polio virus, they were not politicized. They let the science handle it. And I wish that's what we could have done with this. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm gonna encourage people to come to your show, Shine Your Light. You seem to be very knowledge based in that, and I'm sure that there will be some that will be listening to the show would take in and learn from you and learn how you're applying Shine Your Light to the messages that you got from that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. I want to come back around and I want you to think about what is the silver lining? I really want to take the words of Jay, and he says relevant, creative, positioning, what opportunities, what is the silver lining where you've become now more relevant, you're doing things. Give me one or two things that this pivot has caused positive change where we're absolutely changing our behavior. We're doing something different. I'll come back around and I'll go with Vince.
Sure. Well, one of the things that we've decided to do, I guess, current COVID or post-COVID, is to downsize our events. We normally would have 300 to 400 athletes, which is, tough to manage in a single day camp. We downsize now where we're going to only allow 150 to 200 kids in the camps, which is going to be better for the athletes, better for the parents, better for exposure. And so to keep the social distancing during the camp process, we have to have smaller numbers, which is really going to benefit the kids. They're going to get a chance to have more reps. They'll get a chance to have more time with the coaches. We're going to be able to spend more time educating them and training them. And so for us, that's our big thing. Me and my staff have been talking about is that as we move forward, we're going to downsize the number of kids we allow in, which is a major transition for us.
And I realize that that's a total change to your business model, that, the more numbers, the more impact. But now I'm glad you're seeing that the smaller numbers, the more impact on the kids' experience. So thank you for that. Scott, what about you?
Well, the first change, and I'm so thankful for it, and I know all of you are as well, is thank goodness the technology exists these days for a lot of us to be able to be brought together. Perhaps at one time we would all be in a studio together, but right now, technology allows us still to talk to each other, to talk to the audience out there, to share our thoughts, our feelings, our ideas. How wonderful is that? Some of the history that our friend talked about when those other epidemics or pandemics or whatever they called them, you may have been shut in the house and you just kind of sort of had to emerge whenever it was over, and then you would catch up on whatever. So we're so thankful that we do have the modern technology. And also, as I had mentioned earlier, another thing that I think I know that people that work with us are thankful for, again, a lot of parents have been turned into teachers. So they're looking for content. They're looking for things to occupy their children, to have some fun when it's applicable, to educate. And that's what we do. That's what the wonderful art form of improvisation is, a wonderful educational tool that can teach children real world skills. And we can do as much or as little as whether it's a school, whether it's a parent who's homeschooling, whether it's an educational organization. So we would never turn anyone away. We're doing a lot of pro bono work these days, as you can imagine, being a nonprofit. So we love to work with children of all ages and all grade levels. And as always, as a lot of you have said, when things like this happen, I think it does bring us all closer together. We decide to, as Lynn had said, and many of the other panelists have said, bring us all together, working together for the common good. And that's a wonderful thing, a brief, wonderful thing with a lot of the pain and a lot of the bad stuff that has happened over the last month and a half or so.
Thank you so much, Scott.
You're welcome.
Lynn, what is the silver lining that you see in this whole experience?
I think prior to the COVID-19 crisis, we really were all on the go. We were all, we had a schedule, we ran, we overdid things. And I think that the perspective, the pivot now is to really be mindful about the quality. Do we need to go here? Do we need to see this person? Do we need to be everywhere? Do we need to be everything too? And I think that whether it's an individual, whether it's acting as a family, as a community, as as really when we come down to what's important, right? Health. I think that even politically, it really needs to redefine what really we need as a community. So I really appreciate the opportunity for families to come together and really spend that quality time together to really find out. And even with the domestic abuse, it's not good, right? But does it really show that individual that, hey, do I really want to continue this? Will this bring us out on the other side to where, I need to end this, or this person is really going to need to get help? So I think that for most of us, and more so for me, just really grateful for the opportunity that really changed the perspective of what's important, quality over quantity. So thank you.
Oh, that's really critical. Quality over quantity. I tell you. Jay, what can you add to that? You brought us to this conversation of pivot, relevance.
Yeah, I think the silver lining for sure in the business community, it's really tough right now to talk about a silver lining when you've got businesses that are closing and furloughing employees and all over the place. But what's going to come out of this is a need to reevaluate how we bring our products and services to our audiences, the effectiveness in which we deliver those products and services. But then as a side note to that, from a marketing standpoint and from a messaging standpoint, it really is going to accentuate, or I think it has accentuated, the value of effective communication and communicating with your constituencies, whether they're your customers or your donors or your patients, whatever that word is, how we effectively communicate and the channels that we use to deliver both the message as well as show how important the end user is for what we do is a massive silver lining out of all of this. It's caused people to really see the value of their customers more so now than ever.
Wow. Thank you. That's really insightful, Jay. How can you speak to that, Jasmine? That's right in that customer. You talked about healthy competition. I can't hear you, Jasmine. I want to hear you. Uh-oh, I can't hear you now. Let's see. Oh, you're mute. You don't. Uh-oh, I can't unmute you. Hit your space bar.
Okay, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, depending on what type of consumer you are, if you are budget conscious or not, I just think the silver lining in this is, I think moving forward, you will be more just budget conscious. That's what I'm finding from a lot of my clients. They are definitely preserving their resources, their finances, and definitely looking at their household budget and just being more conscious of how and where they spend their money. And that is definitely good for their family resources. That's always a positive.
Jasmine, thank you so much for that. Nancy,
Well-
where's the silver lining?
Silver lining to me is exactly what most of the panelists are talking about, and Miss Lynn especially, is the closeness of the family. I believe that the family unit has been, now we have to have so much emphasis on the family unit. I think it's been really, really good for most families, which is the silver lining. And I just think that we know we're going to get through this, because we are Americans and we will get through this.
We are resilient. Thank you so much for that. Now, as we come to bringing this around, two things. I want you to think about two messages. If somebody had to, you would want somebody to look back at this video and watch this. What is two things that you really want people to take away from hearing you today when they see you? Yes. What is two final things that I'll give you two that you could briefly talk about, that as we wrap up nearing, that you can speak to people who's listening, to your audience? What are those two pieces of a message that you would share? Vince.
Well, number one, our number one goal when we do get a chance to start back is to make sure that we emphasize safety. It's going to be a while before there's a vaccine or anything that can possibly cure this. And so our goal is to make sure we don't add to the problem. We're going to make sure we'll require all the athletes to wear masks prior to coming to the camp. We're not going to allow parents or fans in the stands. We're going to have a ability to check everybody's temperature when they come into the facility. We're going to add additional staff, more medical staff, nurses, more security, to make sure that we maintain social distance and we make sure the athletes are safe. One thing about America, we love sports. I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff going on, but people are dying to see baseball, football, basketball, soccer, track, so on and so on. And me, I play a small role in that as a camp operator in the football space and as a high school basketball coach. But I know how important it is. I've gotten so many emails, so many phone calls from parents and from athletes. Like, when are we going to start back? When can we come? When can we do something? So my focus is going to be on safety. Safety first, and then we deal with the sports, but make sure we stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you for safety. Safety, very important. Scott, what would you say? Your final message.
Yeah, the first thing I would say, and Jay's been saying this quite frequently, is I think, and a lot of us are scared, and rightfully so are scared, especially the high risk demographics in our society. But that being said, we still need to be as proactive as possible, either as business people, as nonprofit leaders, as coaches, as entrepreneurial speakers. That's something that the art form of improvisation has really taught me. Make a decision, move forward with that decision as confidently as possible, understanding that it may not be a perfect decision. You may need, again, as I mentioned earlier, to go to plan B, C, D, E, things like that. But if we do allow ourselves to just be paralyzed for however long this lasts, we will come out of it on the other side no different than we started. And I think that would be almost a sin. I think this is going to change all of us rather dramatically. And let's hope that the majority of us can say on the other side of this, I've learned so much from this. It's not been good, We would not say that we wanted this to happen to us. And the other thing I would say, which echoes what I said earlier, is for those of you that are parents, grandparents, guardians, teachers, again, remember, we as adults theoretically are mentally able to handle this. And we even have a hard time of it. So imagine the youngest of the children, the teenagers, the children who have not been able to have their senior graduations, the college students that are now going out into the world with this cloud over their head. Take their emotions as seriously as possible. Allow, as a lot of you have said, this wonderful quality time that we now have with our family and our sons, daughters, grandparents, grandsons, granddaughters. Utilize this time wisely, because again, even though none of us would have wanted this to happen, I think a lot of really special conversations can and should happen to make the generations bond in a very positive way.
Thank you so much, Scott. That was really powerful, proactive. Lynn, what is your final message that you would share with this audience?
You know, as humbling as this has been, I think that we all forget how impactful we individually could all be. I think prior to this, I was just sitting there feeling so helpless. I'm not a nurse, you know, I'm not, I really don't know how to cook for the masses. So, but I found a way to individually impact and run my own campaign and put an idea out there that that I'm sure lots of people are doing that. So whatever little you think that you cannot do, do it, because it's huge. You know, if you're cutting grass, hey, cut the neighbor's grass. You know, if you're cooking, cook a little bit more and pack that for someone. Send out a card to a senior, to a family that might really appreciate that message. But I think no matter how little, have your campaign. You don't have to be a politician. So our campaign is it's called the 5 Drive. $5 to drive towards impact. $5 puts 5 masks to your neighbors. Okay. So imagine, so not much, but together 1,000 donors can put out 25,000 masks in the next 4 weeks. So I challenge you all to do that little bit and more. So thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Wow, a little bit goes a long way is what I got. Jay, what can you tell us? What is your final message? Can't hear you, Jay. I want to hear you.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, 2 things really to leave as a final message. I want to echo what Scott and you both said is the word proactive, at least, you know, when it comes to businesses, which is why I'm on here. Being proactive about being found and validated online right now is more important than ever. So do what you can to get your online presence buttoned up, to show up where people are looking for you, whether that's through local searches or paid ads or whatever is appropriate for your business. You've got to be there first and foremost to be found. And then the second thing was to remain engaged with your customers, whether that's through posting on social media, creating Google posts in your Google My Business, or sending emails. You know, 99% of people open their emails every day. So that's where they're looking. So message them and stay engaged with them is the 2 things that most important for local businesses right now. Show up and be engaged.
Thank you, Jay.
Yep.
We're learning really how to show up and be engaged in this time. We really can't hide. I mean, you know, this is a time that we're all coming together. Jasmine, what is your final message that you'd like to share with us?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is definitely always pay yourself first. I don't care how much, how little or big you think it is, always, so that you'll always have money in a crisis. When a crisis does hit, you will always have money. I don't care if it's $1. Preserve 50 cents for yourself and then spend the other 50 cents. You know, you just start off small and always have money, so that when a crisis hits, you will always have money. You know, I mean, my grandmother used to preach that to me when I was younger. And now I see that good financial habits are so important now that I'm older. So if you practice good financial habits, you will never be in a bind. So it's so important that you have good financial practices. So that's the first thing I want to stress. And you say it over and over, but still, yet people still don't get it. So I just want to stress that again. Always pay yourself first so that you'll always have money, even though it's elementary, but still want to stress it, that you pay yourself first and you have good financial practices that you always, so that you'll always have and keep money and always have a financial planner. The second thing I want to stress is just to live your best life, and that you're grateful for every day that you're above ground. You're just grateful for life. So when a crisis like this does hit, you've seen the high death toll and that you're alive, be grateful for it. Thank the divine that you are alive, regardless of what you're doing, what type of business that you're in. Bottom line, we're all alive. Be happy for it. Be present in today that we're alive. We're all here. Be thankful and be grateful. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. That was awesome. Nancy, your final message.
Okay, my final message is please help others. Be there. If you see someone in need, please help them. And if you're in need, let people know, because we don't know if we need to help someone unless they let us know they need help. And in this day and time, that's really what it's all about. And my second advice is to follow the rules. Mask, gloves, social distancing, please follow the rules. I do that anytime I go anywhere, and I want everyone to do that. So we can overcome. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Nancy. You know, Jay, you keep giving me these trigger words. How can people stay engaged with you? Thank you, Jay, for that. You know, you all are here for your various reasons. And, you know, I want to give you this last opportunity to tell people how they can engage with you. Do you want them to call you? Do you want them to join you on the Zoom? Do you want them to email you? We are wrapping it up. You just tell, hey, you can reach me at blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to make my way around again. This is your last and final opportunity to let the world know how they can get to you and get to your message. Vince.
Again, hi, this is Coach Vince Jacobs from VTO Sports. You can reach me and my organization at www.vtosports.net, or you can email me at coachvince@vtosports.net. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vince, Coach Vince. Scott, how can they reach you?
They can reach us on our website, which is www.planetimprovinc.org. There are ways to donate to us if they would like, either online or even via text. And another wonderful thing that has happened, as I mentioned with technology, is we can do sessions throughout the United States and beyond. So no matter how anyone is listening or watching this program today or whenever they watch it rebroadcast, reach out to us anywhere from across the United States or across the world. We would love to work with your children, your classrooms, your educational institutions. We would love to do so. Our telephone number, our email address, everything is on there. We look forward to talking to you. We're never bothered by anyone reaching out to us because we love to help children.
Thank you so much, Scott. Lynn, how can they reach you?
Well, other than finding me in my backyard gardening, a good text is always the best way to get me. You get a response right away. So, you know, anytime, 704-252-4942. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Lynn, for being with us. Jay, how can they reach you?
Yeah, same here. My email address, I think, is actually on the screen. So first initial, last name @revlocal.com, or you can text or call me. My direct line is 704-302-4346. I'd be happy to be a resource for anybody out there who wants to chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Jasmine, how can they reach you?
They can contact me. They can anytime. They can call me at 980-255-5088 or my website, my company's website, www.brightwave.com, or they can email me personally at jasmine.walker@brightwave.com.
Thank you so much, Jasmine, for being here. Nancy, how can they reach you?
Hello, it's www.wytv7.org. You can reach me. The name of my radio show and my is Shine Your Light Radio Ministry. And I'd love to hear from any of you, or if any of you have an interesting story, I'd love to interview you too. So thank you so much.
Thank you all for being here, from the coach who's inspired me to think about sports and how getting students involved, to Scott with improv, to Lynn with her Mission 5 will serve so many, the impact, to Jay, pivot, being relative, being just getting across that bridge, to Jasmine. I am convinced, pay myself first. I'm going to do that. To Shine Your Light, being aware that we can all come out of this together. You know, you guys have taught me about community tonight, and how to stay connected, and how to stay relevant, and how to stay safe. So I really appreciate everything that you've shared with the audience. I, as your host, Tina Boyle Whyte, thank you all for being here with us this evening. I hope that you got something to help you to get from one side of the bridge to the other side of the bridge. And I hope that you are inspired, you're encouraged, you're empowered, and you've been educated. Thank you so much, and share this video with a friend. They will truly benefit from our amazing panelists. And as we say goodnight and goodbye, everybody wave at our audience who's watching and listening. Have a great evening. Thank you again for being here.